Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the release of One Piece film Red. I have never been much of a One Piece person myself, just never have watched it, never really had the desire to watch it, but I hear a lot of good things for those that are fans of it. We also have the third weekend for Black Adam, which is seeing a 43% drop, and right now this film is pacing behind where Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was in its domestic release, which makes me think that Black Adam either will be able to make its money back solely because of China. That's right, we now have officially confirmation that it is going to get a November 11th release in China, which very well could be the saving grace for the movie, or that the film will come in underneath the $500 million mark, and meaning it'll be a box office flop. Looking like with the China release that chance of a flop is a lot less likely than it was just a few days ago when we had not had that information yet. But now that we do, we all know that when it comes to China and when it comes to the Hollywood studios working with China, let's just say hundreds of millions of dollars tend to go the way of the Chinese Communist Party. But before going any further into this and other films, please make sure you smash that like button, that fire button on Odyssey. Make sure you smash the rumble button as well. And also make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the bell notification on. That way you know every time a video or live stream goes live on the channel. So Black Adam is expected to win out the weekend once again for 3 weeks in a row. Expected to bring in a $15.7 million number domestically, bringing its total domestic up to $134.8 million. Now, just as a bit of a comparison, Shang-Chi at the end of its third week of release was at $176.8 million by the end of its third weekend. And this film, after 13 weeks, ended up being around 224. Now, we are seeing similar drops in scale at the very least, but as obviously Shang-Chi is a much stronger performer in comparison, at least at this point in time. We'll have to, of course, be continuing to track this movie, but I would say that the chances of this film, Black Adam, being a massive domestic success pretty much is out the window. I would say this film getting to $200 million domestically would, I think, be a strong sign for them, would be a good sign for them. But ultimately, it's all going to come down to how much money does it actually get from China, because the numbers as they currently stand, though up against Shang-Chi's domestic, seem to be okay at the best. If you actually look at the numbers themselves, it's at $254 million worldwide, with only $139.2 million internationally. And so again, it's really going to be heavily reliant upon the Chinese Communist Party to help push those numbers up, because as you can even see, based on the historical standard, even from box office, even from the numbers.com, you can see it's well below the projections of where this film should be in its release. And so this film has gotten a lot of mixed reactions, and I know that there are a lot of DCEU stans who are continuing to call me, "Ooh, you just love the MCU." It's like, you haven't been watching me long enough if you think that I'm an MCU defender. The MCU stans, they attack me. The DCEU stans, they attack me. When the fact is, all I do is look at the numbers and try to make the best estimates that I possibly can. And based off of these numbers, without China in the picture, this film would be a guaranteed flop. Based off of all the numbers that we have, all the data that we have available to us, the chances of the film making its money back is not very likely based on just that without China. When you throw China into the mix, then it starts to get a bit interesting. The reason why I say interesting and not guaranteed is because remember that when you work with the Chinese Communist Party, they take 75% of those box office receipts. So let's say that Black Adam gets $100 million in China. $75 million of that goes to the Chinese Communist Party, whereas only about $25 million actually goes to the studio. Now, in the grand scheme of things, when you take in all countries and all rates of exchange, etc., into account, it ends up evening itself out towards the end. And so, as I said, if this film does still get past $500 million because of China, that will still be its break-even point. The fact still remains that the movie having to rely on the CCP to get its money back is something that I think should be called out, and I will continue to do that for this and for any other film that does so in the future, whether it be Warner Brothers or Disney. Take that, you stands. The One Piece film expected to open to $7 to $12 million domestically. That would be, again, pretty impressive numbers there. There definitely is a small, in numbers-wise, numbers comparison, a small but mighty group of people that are very big fans of the anime releases that come out domestically, who will support films like One Piece, who will support also films like Dragon Ball Z and the Dragon Ball Super films that come out, etc. And because those films cost so little to make, they end up making their money back pretty easily, usually after the first weekend. Ticket to Paradise is continuing to hang around as well, only a 27% drop. So again, This movie's made for somebody. I don't quite know who, but it's made for somebody. Smile also continuing to hang around as well, another $3.4 million, getting ever closer, as I said, guaranteed at this point to hit $100 million before the end of its run, likely to hit $200 million by the end of its run in the next week or so as well. Pray for the Devil is expected to have a 54% drop away from the Halloween weekend. Haven't really heard a whole lot about this movie. Probably, I would imagine, is mixed at best, but as you all know, I don't really care to cover it because of the subject matter. Lao Lao Crocodile is also hanging around, 27% drop. The real bad thing about this movie is the budget. They spent a little bit too much on it, and so the chance of it making its money back just not likely based off of the little interest that is in that movie. You have the movie Till, which is also expanding its release as well. So that film is expected to make $1.8 million. Halloween Ends, dropping another 61%. Could see this film continuing to add to its budget, or rather continuing to add to its box office profits, but ultimately the film is still pretty trash. And then the movie that I'm excited about, because I'm actually going to go see it tonight, is The Banshees of Inisherin. That's right. Unfortunately, it's being distributed by Searchlight Pictures and Disney. However, it is a film featuring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, the same duo that did the great dark comedy in Brews, are back once again with the same director to do yet another dark comedy. Sign me up. I mean, that in and of itself sold me on the film. And I watched one trailer. I was kind of hesitant on it because trailers can sometimes tell you way too much. Went and saw the trailer for the film, though, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm very, very hyped. Had one person who's already seen it who said that it was one of the best films of the year. Great dark comedy. So, again, I don't want to oversell it necessarily, but it very well could be, because it has all of the, let's just say it has all of the pieces and parts of a film that I would tend to enjoy, you know, being set in Ireland and having Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson in it. Like, all of those things definitely appeal to me. In addition to the basic subject about a friend who decides, you know what, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because you're kind of a garbage person, and I don't care about you. And again, I apologize to any of my Irish brethren out there who don't appreciate the accent. But anyway, that is where the numbers currently stand for this weekend. What are y'all's thoughts about it? Do you think Black Adam is going to be able to stand on its own without China? Or do you think that China is going to come in and give it like $100 million? Again, I think that based on the history of the DCEU and the history of Marvel and other superhero films in that country, we can expect the film to make somewhere between $50 and $100 million at the very least in that country, and that likely would be enough to push the film over the edge based off of its lack of performance in other areas and other parts of the world. And so what are y'all's thoughts about that and anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below? I will try to have a review up for The Banshees of Inisherin tonight after I get out of the theater. Do the very best that I can to do that, but let me know your thoughts about that. Anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, smash the rumble button, and also light up that fire button on Odyssey. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my November Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above. Starting off with Patreon with Father Luca Illich. Thank you very much, Father. Garrett Searles, Jaimir Irie Hymason, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, The Modern Major General Story, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can check out on YouTube at his channel, Orange Hat Reviews, Rosetta Allen, who also has a YouTube channel that you can check out at Eagle Writer, and Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel, Miss Martin Muses, and of course the amazing Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out at her YouTube channel, Tina B, where she hosts the show with Stephanie B, one of my mods, and one of my Valkyrie, called Soup to Nuts. Check out Soup to Nuts, and it premieres pretty much every Friday. So again, shout out to all of my Patreon people, also to all my Subscribe Star people, starting off with Matt317. Check him out on Twitch at Matt317. The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK Man. And ZK Man you can check out over at xtheboundaries.co to follow him as he starts his podcast, and also for many of his musical musings as well. Check him out. Very, very talented guy. And then lastly, my locals peeps. We got Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan. How about a hockey player? UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win. J.H. Schwalbach, Brett D90, and the amazing lawyer, Robert Barnes. Thank you all so very much for supporting me. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link in the video description below where you get access to that. Also, you get access to special things like giveaways and also exclusive podcasts that I do with John the Flickinger and other guests throughout the month of November and in the previous and the months to follow as well. And again, if any of that sounds interesting to you, especially the 4K giveaways, Steelbook giveaways, some of them that I have to give away this month are films like Starship Troopers on 4K Steelbook, Top Gun Maverick on 4K Steelbook, amongst many others. If that sounds interesting to you, check out the link and follow the instructions down below. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.